So apparently my Hydroboost has started to leak. There's a little weep hole way back under here behind the master cylinder, and when the seal goes out in the Hydroboost, it starts dripping from back there. Mine's been dripping for a while. I keep adding fluid, but it's making a big mess down there and needs to be dealt with. So starters here was I removed the air cleaner assembly. I am going to remove mass airflow and clean it since it's kind of dirty. Then there's two bolts holding the master cylinder in. There's one here and one on the other side. We need to remove those and see if we can get the master cylinder down and out of the way. After getting ready to do this, I realized that I need to move some other stuff too. Obviously the reservoir needs to be drained and removed. I'm going to unbolt this and see if I can pull it up and get it out of the way, because room looks like it's going to be the biggest issue here. These bolts that remove this stuff are all 10 millimeter. When I was pulling this forward, I found out there's a piece of plastic that is part of the bottom that actually goes back underneath this, and of course 16-year-old vehicle, nice and brittle, it immediately broke right off. I don't think it's going to be any big issue, but you should be aware that it's there. It makes it a little more difficult to get this thing out to the front and out of the way a little bit. Oh, a little issue I ran into here. The nut that holds this thing on is a 15 millimeter, and apparently it's backed by a bolt. I don't know if you can see it, it's right here. And when I was trying to undo it, the bolt was backing out the other side. I couldn't get it undone. That's a 13 millimeter wrench will hold that. This is kind of a bitch session because I bought this nice metric set a while ago. It's supposed to have all of them, and it doesn't have a 15. What the hell's the deal with that? I hate when they do that. Skip one, like you're never going to need it. Anyway, back at 13 millimeter on the back side, 15 on the front, you'll be able to get them undone. So the 15 millimeter socket problem came back to haunt me on this one. The only socket I could find is a deep well, and there ain't room to get in there. So I'm having to undo this with a box end wrench, which is working. I couldn't get the deep well past the brake lines. It's clearly been leaking a long time. It doesn't look too good there. Alright, so this fitting right here is an 18 millimeter. I used a crow's foot mostly because it goes all the way around, and I didn't want to take any chance of stripping that fitting out. So that actually worked pretty good. But of course my crow's foot set skips ones too, and I need a 16 for that side. So a 16 open end wrench actually worked. It wasn't too tight. On the end of those lines right here, there's little tiny O-rings. You want to be careful not to lose them. I took them off because I'm going to go to the auto parts store and try to get some new ones to put back on when I put this back together. Alright, inside the van. This is going to be fun. Up here on the brake, there's a clip right there. I don't know if you can see it. My finger's on it. If you get there and you just move it around, you'll see there's a part of it that you got to pry up to get the clip off. There's 4 bolts here that you're going to need to undo. Of course, they were the one I didn't have, 15 millimeter. They're easy to get to though. So we're going to go for this next. So I haven't done this before, so this is all a learning experience for me too. Once you get the clip off, the shaft and the brake switch slide off to the left. I found it easier to push this all the way down to get it off. So right now I'm off, the bolts are undone, we're ready to move on. Well, it actually came out of there easier than I thought it would. I pulled it straight back to get it loose, pushed the air conditioning hose this way and that way, and I was able to bring it straight up and out. And there's the piece of crap now. So I've finished rebuilding the unit and I'm putting it back in. I did not videotape rebuilding it because I'll put a link, it'll show up right after this little clip here, of where you can go to see the full rebuild. Basically I only replaced 2 parts. It's the main seal that was leaking and this figure 8 one. Now, there's a bunch of bolts that hold this thing together, and there are Torx. So that kind of sucked. I had to go and get an E12 Torx socket. And of course, none of the auto parts stores sell just one, so you had to buy a whole darn set of Torx sockets that I'll never use again. So if you have time to plan, you might want to get yours off the internet. You can probably just buy one. Getting it back in here went in about the same way it came out. It was actually not too hard to get it back in. I haven't bolted it up yet. That's going to happen right now. Well, I got it all back together. I just did the bleed. If you don't know how to do that, you start the van, make sure you got fluid in here. You turn it all the way to the right, all the way to the left. You do that 2 times, then shut it off, step on the brake, check your fluid. Do that 3 or 4 times, and you'll have your fluid all back up to snuff, and you'll be good to go. So far, I don't see any leaks. I'm hoping for the best on this. Hope this video helps you a little bit. I don't do these for likes or subscriptions or anything. I just do them to help people out. Have a good day.